because I goofed and left my ignition on and possibly burned up my points, I'll tell you a little bit about my Roadster here while the battery's charging. I think I've done a video on this before, but I didn't go into very good detail about it, or what I know about it anyways. So anyways, it's a 31 Model A Roadster. When I bought this car off a fellow in the city, I got this and a bunch of parts, some random sheet metal and stuff. The quarters that are on Trevor's Essex came with that pile of bits. I got this rear, I think I got all of this with the trunk lid. It came with both doors, 2 sets of cowls. I think that was it, if I remember right. I had one of these sanctions. I had one Roadster cowl and one sedan cowl. I think one had a fuel tank, one didn't. The sedan cowl, like the front section here, was actually in better shape than the Roadster one, so I converted it over to the Roadster style posts. I have the other door yet, but it was in such bad shape that I chose not to use it for obvious reasons. I mean, it's cool to keep around because it still is a Roadster door, I guess. For what, I don't know, but I haven't thrown it away, and it's been a few years since I built this car. So the idea of the build was I was trying to do more of a traditional style looking hot rod. You know, open wheel, like a lake style. I actually wanted to run headers, just regular headers, and actually have maybe some hood sides on it and run an exhaust out the back. But I also never done this style of a header before. I've made them or bought the kits. This is actually technically like the old style fellers used to do on the lakes, was they took the torque tubes from the rear drive shaft and they'd make their headers out of that. So that's what I did here. I just cut some flanges on the table, and then I have some baffles in here. I don't know if you can see, maybe, maybe not. So it quiets it down a bit. The whole car is like a conglomerate of parts that I all collected and had. So I had bought the body, but the door was trashed. I contacted a friend of mine who does a lot of this Model A stuff, and I bought a windshield from him. I believe both of these posts, I think a sanction, and this door, if I remember right. Those are the things I bought off him. So I did chop the car. I can't remember if it's 2 inches or 3 inches. But there is a chop to the windshield frame. It was like a super cherry windshield frame till I cut it up. But that's okay. That's good. He did lend me the dash, the Roadster dash piece here. So I basically copied it and I made one. So this is not a repo or anything like that. I kind of did my best, made it as good as I can. These things kind of look like they bolt on, but they're sort of welded in and stuff, being that it had to be all goulash together there. And then I got one door. This door always did bother me because it was different than the rest of the car with the patina, but it's gotten to the point I don't care anymore. It is what it is. So the rest of the car's bits and pieces I've just collected. The motor is actually the motor that came out of that black Merc over there. So originally the feller that owned that black Merc, he had sold me the motor because he was putting a small block in it. He had moved, things all didn't work out for him anymore, like he couldn't keep the car or take it with him. And then a couple years later I ended up buying the car, so it's kind of cool. This is the original motor for that car. So this is like a 51, so if I'm right, this is a 255 cubic inch, you know, the bigger, badder motor there. I proceeded to put new water pumps on it. Other than that, I didn't do anything else to the motor. I'm running still the 6-volt generator, and I had another friend of mine who did some machining. He made me a custom front pulley for it with a way to mount and bolt on this flex fan. I had this small little flex fan, to which actually works good cooling the car. I don't really have any overheating problems at all. Some days it gets a little warm, like when it's like plus 30 something today, but the thing I dig about this motor is this has that weird ugly carburetor on it, which is, it's ugly but it's cool. I don't know what you call them, but this is the car that I actually am trying to mock up that flathead with the supercharger, because I'd like to put a supercharger on this one, but I'm still trying to source out an M90. So that said, I parts collected. The frame, I would have loved to put 32 rails under this car, but they're spendy and I can't find any, so I opted for Model A. So the chassis under here is actually the chassis that came with my Model A pickup way back. It was just a bare clean chassis, so I used it. But because there's a lot of bulky ugliness underneath there, I chose to run the splash aprons, which kind of gives it that lake vibe, I guess. At least that's what I'll keep telling myself that. The frame that came with the truck, it came with a bunch of other parts. So that's where I got the headlights from with the guide light. So those are my signals. When we come down to the front end here, I originally had bought this 4-inch drop axle from Speedway, and it was like the Speedway brand drop axle. I bought it when I was going to make my jig for my drop axle jig for dropping Model A axles. I was going to use it to mold my mold for it, but it turns out that, yeah, this is like a weird casting, and it was kind of like an axle probably made for Speedway or something. I don't know. It's not a proper 31 inch. Is it 31? I think it's a 31 inch spring is what originally goes in a Model A, and it's not. It's like this weird spring. So I happened to fluke. Speedway had this garbage axle, like a spring as well. It was a mono spring, but it was like a 30-inch spring or something. I'm like, I can make that work, and it turned out it works perfect with this axle. So I did that. Do split bones. They're more of a later bone. I don't know. It'd be like the later 40s style bone because it's got the kick up on the front there, and it looks like it's not split, but I actually have a plate underneath there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I made a plate where I mounted some F1 brake pedals, pedal and clutch assembly. So I have that going over to, it's a late 30s manual transmission. So I got that from somebody I knew at a swap meet. So I bought that. I'm pretty sure it's like a 38 or 39 because it's that Swan style shifter. Steering it is just the old school F1 steering box, 48 to, I don't know, what is it, 52 or something like that. But I modified the flange, so it's got a 3-bolt flange, and it's tight up against the steering box to get the arm away from the frame. What's we got going on? Maybe just got a typical aluminum red, nothing special there. My roads are really rough, so it's been boogered like numerous times. Is what it is. I can fix it when it breaks, not a biggie. We get to the inside, what do we got? We got this banjo wheel, which I don't know where or what it came from. All I do know is I got it for $2 at a garage sale. So I have that. It's in rough shape, so it's just got to wrap this whatever stuff on it. And I just printed some kind of a horn button just to cover up the inside. I've never actually got around to finishing it. I think I tried once and I didn't like the way it looked. The seat is actually just the mid caravan seat from an 80s caravan, to which I had two different friends. One friend gave me this canvas that I used to wrap the seat and the rumble seat. This one is actually, what I did for that is the lower is a bus seat bottom, and this upper part, like if I did more, cared more, I could have done this nicer, but this is actually the upper cushion from I don't know, I'm gonna say like an 88, 89 Chevy pickup where they had the split, the 60/40. Well, this is the 60 side, which fits like perfect up into the rumble seat section. So my fuel tank up in the front was like super rotten, so I ended up buying a Speedway, a spun tank, to which then I mounted my battery. I know it's not a good idea, but I do have the battery there. So in the back we got the, I don't know, we'll say 46 Chevy taillights. I use the Pontiac a lot, but I think these look kind of cool on here. In the rear department, I don't know what this is. I think it's a 46 or something like that diff. It's still just, I did the spring behind. So I kind of made my own kick. Like this being a stock Model A frame, I took this original cross member off and I moved it behind the axle. So the bones and stuff I had, no, I don't know what year this axle is because it has this original perch in the rear. Yeah, that might be right. 46 or something like that. But I don't know if you can see, I made my own step up in the back to try to get the back of the car lower. So I rebuilt the rear part of the frame rail and then mounted this axle perch into the back. So that was kind of my technique to lower, because I can mount the spring higher but still run the really cool curvy spring that nobody can see, so only I know. So it's got juice brakes all around. They're all brand new brakes and drums and all that stuff. Well, they were when I put them on. The rear shocks I did, I think they're like Chevy, because they're the one way, the knee action shocks. So I have those in the back. Yeah. When you get around to the gauges, and I don't know my years well, because I know there's one had this style, the round, and then the other year had the oval style. So anyways, this one worked, so I got the speedo in there. I carved it out because normally you got a key on the one side. I think there's an amp and an oil gauge. I have the oil gauge, my speedo, and then I put 2 temperatures for each bank. Although this one does say oil temp, it still reads it fine and dandy, so I don't care. And I kind of went with the old Stewart Warner style. I went with the old Stewart Warner style, and I have the single light kind of shining down up on top. So you light them up, 'cause nothing's backlit in there. So I don't know what the steering column is, because it is the style with the lock, you know, and the flicky switch and all that stuff. The top that I have on the car is just one of those Speedway quickie tops that I had chopped down to fit, and it actually worked pretty good. I did my own, well, this is like, I just kind of wrapped this and did nothing special. I did do the top. It's a little hoagie, but it works. It fits the car. I'll actually roll it up, show it to you. I think you might have seen some pictures with it, maybe not, I don't know. But I'll put the top up in a bit. The hood was actually, same guy I got the motor and the Merc from. He parted out a few cars here. This is like, I don't know, I'm gonna say 55, 56 Buick. But it had the same rust as this car, so I kind of just louvered it, made a hood top, only because eventually I'd like to hopefully get my supercharged working, or I'll build a dual intake for it and just run dual carbs. Other than that, the motor's is bone stock. I've done nothing to it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My original time I built the car, it just had the red wires in the back and I had steel wheels in the front. But since then I found another set of wires, so I'm running all of them. The Roadster, I had another Chevy Roadster before this, and I mean, I love the Roadsters. You pretty much, you have to, I can never sell my Roadster until I build another Roadster. That's kind of been my thought. I always loved the SoCal style where they have the really low windshield with the chopped tops. I think that looks killer. My other car was a hop over, so it didn't have any doors, functioning doors on it. So I could never really make a top for that one. And it was too much work to cut open the doors, being that it was a Chevy, so I just made a big tub out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking I nailed the look. Anyways, I'm going to throw the top up and I'll show you how that looks on there. I think it looks great. I do have a set of, I don't know what they call those Deutz, or there's some kind of a push connect. I can't remember. They're not the boat button style or the boat twist turns. They look like the traditional style clips that, I don't know, I used to have them on the window frame. I really want the top that I could take off, because it's kind of hard to stick your arm out a lot of time, because this thing's right where you want to put your arm always. But it is convenient on a night like tonight when I go for a rip, and she does happen to rain a bit. At least keeps you semi-dry, so. So I want to do that, and I still want to make some window curtains. I think they look just killer. you can see, that top just looks, I dig it. It was actually really easy to make the top. When you get the quickie kit, like the Speedway dealio, it comes with that. It comes with the header bow. And if you actually look, if you make it in a 2-piece, it's not that hard. You'll have to ignore my crappy sewing, but all you need is like this piece up to this first bow. So that was kind of like your first pattern. And then you do the second one, and then however you want your window opening. I mean, mine's not, it's not perfect, but I mean, it suits the car. It's got a few holes, but at least they're not on my side. Not that this is a fun car to drive in the rain anyways. I think the important holes I filled, most of it's pretty good. The window does come out if you do want to chat with people, if they actually want to ride in the back. But yeah, that's my story on my Model A. In case you got any questions, you can always hit me up in the comments there. So I'm sure I don't have a lot of things that are like period right, but whatever. It is what it is. It does what I want. It drives. I'm sure any facts that I got wrong, you can go check Mortsky Repair there. He'll probably correct me. He seems to be a bit of a Model A guru there. This thing here, if people are ever wondering, I always do the aluminum rads, but I usually always get these Speedway, I think it's for the roundy round cars, but it has a cool mini honeycomb, so it kind of makes it look like an old rad. So I kind of always buy one of these things, A, to protect my rad, and then B, it kind of gives it an old school look. I wish they were bigger, but it is cool. So I pretty much brought it in, did my service on it. She is good to go for the season here. So I'm about to go take her for a rip. Go take the pup and see if we can beat this storm. Well, provided my battery's charged. Anyways, let's go for a rip. Hop in, let's go. Remember when I said that hole in the top isn't a problem? It's not. I mean, it dripped exactly on the dog and me, but for the most part, we were dry. That was okay. The rest of the car looks terrible, but whatever. So, gonna wait for this storm to lighten up. Looks like it's almost done, I think. I had to go to town, get some fuel. So now we're full of gas and ready to cruise here.